The hallway lights stayed dim tonight, rain falling softly near the stairs. I looked up every time the elevator moved, like maybe someone would be there. The apartment felt too quiet, even the clock sounded loud. Soft jazz drifting through the darkness, trying to calm these thoughts somehow. I checked the door without a reason, then slowly turned away again. Funny how loneliness keeps hoping, even when nobody comes in. Nobody knocked tonight, no footsteps stopped outside. Only rain against the building and city lights in the night. A shadow moved beneath the doorway, but disappeared before too long. Some nights silence feels peaceful, some nights it feels completely wrong. The coffee beside me went cold slowly, the window blurred into blue, and somewhere underneath this sleeplessness, I still kept thinking of you. Nobody knocked tonight, still I listened for the sound, like my heart was waiting quietly for something that never came around. Footsteps past my door tonight, slow echoes through the hallway light. I held my breath for just a second, like maybe they would stop this time. The rain kept falling near the window, soft blue shadows crossed the room, and jazz played low beside the table, like a memory returning too soon. quietly at the doorway without really knowing why. Some nights people wait for something, even when nothing arrives. Footsteps past my door tonight, then faded somewhere down the hall. Funny how silence grows heavier after hearing almost nothing at all. The elevator opens somewhere, metal sounds against the rain, and the apartment felt even lonelier after the quiet came again. Coffee cooled beside the notebook, the lamp glowing soft and warm, while the city kept moving outside through another midnight storm. Footsteps past my door tonight, but nobody stayed behind. Only sleepless thoughts and soft jazz, keeping me awake tonight. The hallway stayed quiet tonight. No footsteps near the door, only rain against the building and soft jazz across the floor. The elevator never opened, no voices passed outside. The whole apartment felt suspended somewhere between midnight and sunrise. I looked toward the doorway twice, without a reason why. Funny how lonely people still hope, even after goodbye. The hallway stayed quiet tonight, the light glowing pale and blue, and somewhere underneath the silence I still kept thinking of you. beside me. Its warmth already gone. Some nights feel longer than usual, even when nothing's wrong. The city lights beyond the window blurred softly through the rain, while the room kept holding memories I thought had disappeared again. The hallway stayed quiet tonight. No knocking came at all, only the sound of my own breathing inside these apartment walls. The hallway stayed quiet tonight. No footsteps near the door. Only rain against the building and soft jazz across the floor. The elevator never opened. No voices passed outside. The whole apartment felt suspended somewhere between midnight and sunrise. I looked toward the doorway twice. Without a reason why. Funny how lonely people still hope, even after goodbye. The hallway stayed quiet tonight, the light glowing pale and blue. And somewhere underneath the silence, I still kept thinking of you. Coffee sat untouched beside me, its warmth already gone. Some nights feel longer than usual, even when nothing's wrong. The city lights beyond the window blurred softly through the rain, while the room kept holding memories I thought had disappeared again. The hallway stayed quiet tonight. No footsteps near the door. Only rain against the building and soft jazz across the floor. The elevator never opened. No voices passed outside. The whole apartment felt suspicious Rain outside the apartment tonight, sliding softly down the glass. The city lights look tired somehow, like another long day had passed. The hallway light stayed on all night, pale yellow near the stairs. I kept listening without reason, like maybe someone would appear. Soft jazz floated through the kitchen, muted trumpet low and slow. Some nights music feels like company when there's nowhere else to go. Rain outside the apartment tonight, the room glowing dim and blue, and somewhere underneath the silence, I still kept remembering you. The elevator echoed once, then everything went still again. Funny how small apartment sounds can feel so loud after midnight rain. Coffee cooled beside the window, the clock moved quietly past 2, and every reflection on the glass made the loneliness feel true. Rain outside the apartment tonight, morning still far away, but somehow in this quiet sadness, I knew I'd survive another day. I thought someone was here tonight. A shadow moved beneath the door. I looked up from the cold coffee and listened to the hallway floor. The elevator stopped somewhere. Soft metal sounds against the rain. For a second my heart believed someone had finally come again. The apartment stayed half silent, only jazz beside the lamp, and the rain against the windows made the whole night feel damp. I thought someone was here tonight, but the footsteps disappeared. Funny how lonely people here hope, even when nobody is near. I opened the door for just a moment. Cold hallway air drifted through. Empty lights beside the staircase, and silence waiting there too. The city glowed beyond the curtains, blue reflections on the wall. Some nights waiting becomes a habit, even when no one calls. I thought someone was here tonight, still I listened for the sound, like maybe somewhere in this sadness something good would finally come around. The elevator opened empty tonight, soft light spilling down the hall. I looked up without thinking, like maybe someone finally called. Rain echoed through the building, quiet footsteps from above, and jazz played low beside the kitchen, like a memory I still love. The apartment smelled like coffee, gone cold beside the chair. Some nights loneliness feels louder, when nobody is there. The elevator opened empty tonight, then slowly closed again. Funny how silence after midnight can settle underneath your skin. I stood beside the doorway quietly, listening to the distant rain. The city kept moving somewhere outside, while everything here stayed the same. Blue reflections crossed the window. The clock moved past 2:30, and somewhere deep inside this sleeplessness, I still kept waiting for you. The elevator, open, empty tonight. No voices fill the hall, only rain and soft late-night jazz. Inside these lonely walls, no sound after midnight tonight. The hallway silent near the stairs. Rainwater sliding down the windows, and nobody anywhere. The elevator stopped moving hours ago. No footsteps cross the floor, only soft jazz and distant thunder. Inside this apartment door, the lamp beside the sofa glowed softly, warm light against the blue. Some nights loneliness feels endless, especially without you. No sound after midnight tonight, not even voices through the wall. Funny how silence grows heavier when nobody calls at all. Coffee cool beside the notebook, steam disappearing long ago, and every little sound inside this room felt slower than before. I looked toward the doorway twice, without knowing why. the dawn. But somehow in this sleepless quiet, I still kept holding on. Someone stopped outside tonight. I heard footsteps near the door. The hallway light stayed pale and quiet, like a scene I'd seen before. I looked up from the kitchen table, coffee cold beside my hand. For one small second in the silence, I thought somebody might finally stand. Rain echoed through the stairwell, soft thunder somewhere far away, and jazz drifted low across the apartment, like it was asking me to stay. Someone stopped outside tonight and slowly walked away again. Funny how hope appears so quickly, even when nobody comes in. The elevator opened somewhere, metal sounds against the blue, and every shadow near the doorway somehow reminded me of you. I stayed awake beside the window, watching city lights below. Some nights waiting becomes habit, even when deep down you know. Someone stopped outside tonight. Still I listened for the sound, like loneliness keeps believing something lost might still come around. The door never opened tonight. Still I kept looking that way. Rainwater sliding down the windows while another midnight stayed. The hallway light glowed softly, pale yellow near the stairs. Every sound inside the building made me think somebody was there. Soft jazz floated through the apartment, muted trumpet low and warm, trying to make this quiet room feel safer from the storm. The door never opened tonight. No footsteps stopped outside. Funny how lonely hearts keep waiting, even after goodbye. Coffee sat untouched beside me. Steam disappeared long ago, and every little apartment shadow moved slower than before. The elevator echoed once, then silence filled the hall. Some nights emptiness feels louder than hearing nothing at all. The door never opened tonight. Still I listened for the sound, like somewhere underneath the sadness, hope was still hanging around. Quiet lights in the hallway tonight, soft yellow shadows near the stairs, rain tapping somewhere outside, and silence filling the air. The elevator stayed asleep. No footsteps crossed the floor, only jazz drifting through the apartment behind a closed and lonely door. Coffee cooled beside the window, blue reflections on the wall. Some nights the smallest apartment sounds feel louder than them all. Quiet lights in the hallway tonight, still glowing after 2. And somewhere underneath this sleeplessness, I kept remembering you. The city lights beyond the curtains blurred softly through the rain, while the room held on to memories I thought I'd lost again. I checked the lock without a reason, then quietly sat back down. Funny how lonely people wait, even when nobody's around. Quiet lights in the hallway tonight, morning still far away, but somehow through this silent sadness, I knew I'd make it through the day. Another night without visitors tonight, rain resting softly near the stairs. The hallway stayed completely empty, like nobody had ever been there. The apartment smelled like cold coffee and books left open by the lamp. Soft jazz moving through the silence, like footsteps fading after rain. I looked toward the doorway quietly every time the elevator moved. Funny how lonely hearts keep hoping, even when they know the truth. Another night without visitors tonight, only shadows cross the wall, and somewhere underneath the silence, I still waited for a call. especially without you. The clock moves slowly past 3:30, rainwater tracing down the glass, and every little sound inside this room made the long night seem to last. Another night without visitors tonight. Morning still far away, but somehow through this sleepless sadness I survived another day. The apartment felt too still tonight, rain resting softly on the glass. The hallway light outside the door stayed dim as midnight passed. No footsteps echoed through the building, no voices near the stairs, only soft jazz beside the kitchen, and silence everywhere. Coffee cooled beside the notebook, steam disappearing into blue. Some nights loneliness feels heavier when every thought returns to you. The apartment felt too still tonight, like time had slowed somehow, and every little sound inside the room felt louder than it should right now. The elevator stayed completely quiet, no shadows crossed the floor. Funny how people keep expecting someone to knock at the door. I stare toward the hallway softly, without really knowing why. Maybe sleepless hearts keep listening even after goodbye. The apartment felt too still tonight, rain faded quiet sadness, I still kept holding on. I waited without reason tonight, listening to the hallway sounds, rainwater sliding down the windows, while the city dimmed downtown. The elevator opened somewhere, then quietly closed again. For a second I thought maybe someone would finally come in. Soft jazz drifted through the apartment, muted trumpet low and slow, the kind of music lonely people understand without being told. I waited without reason tonight, still looking toward the door. Funny how the heart keeps hoping, even after, before. Coffee sat untouched beside me, its warmth already gone, and every shadow near the hallway made the long night carry on. The lamp beside the sofa glowed softly against the rainy blue. Some nights loneliness feels endless, especially without you. Without reason tonight, morning still far away, but somehow underneath the silence I made it through another day. The hallway light stayed on tonight, soft yellow near the stairs. Rain tapping slowly through the building, and silence everywhere. I look toward the doorway often, without a reason why. Maybe lonely hearts keep listening, even after goodbye. Soft jazz floated through the apartment, muted trumpet, low and warm, trying to make this quiet room feel safe from the storm. The hallway light stayed on tonight, long after midnight passed, and every little sound inside the hall made old memories come back. Coffee cooled beside the window, blue reflections on the floor. Some nights loneliness feels heavier than all the nights before. The elevator echoed softly, and everything went still again. Funny how empty apartment halls can settle underneath your skin. The hallway light stayed on tonight, morning still far away, but somehow through this sleepless silence I survived another day. Nobody came upstairs tonight. The hallway stayed pale and still. Rainwater echoed through the stairwell, like the whole building lost its will. The elevator opened somewhere, then quietly closed again. For a moment I stopped breathing, thinking maybe someone came in. Soft jazz moved across the apartment, muted trumpet low and blue, the kind of music lonely people play when they can't sleep through. Nobody came upstairs tonight. listened for the sound. Funny how the heart keeps waiting, even when nobody's around. Coffee sat untouched beside me, steam already gone away, and every little hallway shadow made the silence seem to stay. The city lights beyond the curtains blurred softly through the rain, while the room held on to memories I thought I'd bury deep again. Nobody came upstairs tonight. Morning still far away, but somehow through this sleepless quiet I survived another day. The night grew colder after 2, rain falling softly near the glass. The hallway light outside the door still glowing while midnight passed. I wrapped my hands around cold coffee, listening to the building breathe. Soft jazz drifting through the apartment like a memory that wouldn't leave. The elevator stayed completely silent. No footsteps crossed the floor. Funny how lonely nights grow heavier when nobody knocks anymore. The night grew colder, little by little. Blue shadows filled the room, and somewhere underneath the silence I still kept thinking of you. The city lights beyond the curtains blurred softly through the rain, while every little apartment sound made the loneliness remain. I looked toward the doorway quietly, without really knowing why. keep waiting, even after goodbye. The night grew colder after 2. Morning still far away, but somehow through this endless silence I made it through another day. I heard footsteps again tonight, slow echoes near the stairs, rainwater sliding down the windows, and silence everywhere. I looked up from the kitchen table, coffee cold beside my hand. For one small second in the hallway, I thought somebody might still stand. The elevator hummed softly, and everything went still. Funny how apartment buildings can feel so lonely after dark and rain. Soft jazz drifted through the apartment, muted trumpet low and blue, the kind of music lonely people quietly survive nights through. I heard footsteps again tonight, then they faded down the hall, and somehow the silence afterward felt heavier than them all. The city lights beyond softly through the rain, while every shadow near the doorway brought old memories back again. I stayed awake beside the window, morning still far away, but somehow through this sleepless waiting. I survived another day. Rain echoed through the building tonight. Soft sounds along the stairs. The hallway light stayed pale and quiet, and nobody was there. The elevator opened somewhere, metal humming through the dark, while jazz drifted low across the apartment like a lonely little spark. Coffee cooled beside the window, blue reflections crossed the floor. Some nights the silence in old buildings feels heavier than before. Rain echoed through the building tonight, like memories through the walls. And every distant sound after midnight made me pause for footsteps in the hall. I look toward the doorway often, without knowing why again. Maybe lonely hearts keep listening, even when nobody comes in. The city lights beyond the curtains blurred softly through the rain, while the room kept holding on to thoughts I thought had faded away. Rain echoed through the building tonight, morning still far away, but somehow through this sleepless quiet I survived another day. The silence near my door tonight felt heavier than before. while shadows cross the floor. The hallway lights stay dim and tired, soft yellow after 2. And every little sound inside the building somehow reminded me of you. Coffee sat untouched beside me, its warmth already gone. Soft jazz drifting through the apartment, trying to help the night move on. The silence near my door tonight, no footsteps stopped outside. Funny how lonely hearts keep listening even after goodbye. The elevator echoed once, then everything turned still again. Some nights empty apartment halls settle underneath your skin. I look toward the doorway quietly, without knowing why at all. Maybe sleepless people keep waiting, even when nobody calls. The silence near my door tonight, morning still far away, but somehow through this endless quiet, I survived another day. Morning arrived without a knock today, rain fading slowly from the glass. The hallway light finally turned off, like the long night had finally passed. Coffee cups still near the window, soft jazz barely playing low. The apartment held that quiet feeling only lonely people know. No footsteps crossed the hallway, no voices near the stairs. And somehow after all that waiting, the silence still remained there. Morning arrived without a knock today, no sudden change came through, just another tired heart learning how to survive without you. The city slowly woke outside, blue dawn spreading through the rain, while soft light crossed the apartment walls and eased a little of the pain. I looked toward the doorway once more, then quietly turned away. Maybe healing starts the moment you stop expecting someone to stay. Morning arrived without a knock today, but somehow that